welcome OCS squad members or anyone else that might want to be part of a learning tutorial on a number of different things. Today's tutorial is going to be mainly on stretching, and we're going to talk about a number of different forms of stretching, and then later we're going to go outside and actually demonstrate some of these stretches. First of all, when we stretch, we are trying to stretch or make longer our soft tissue. We're going to try and increase our range of motion. There are many different sorts of stretches, and they're used for a lot of different activities. Later I will demonstrate the different stretches we're going to use. But first of all, let's just do some reference stuff. The soft tissue, we all know what a muscle is, but the soft tissue is muscle, tendon and ligaments. So if we talk about our muscle, we know we've got a muscle, and that one's called our bicep because it's actually two different muscles. Our bicep or our muscles are attached to the bone. The way they're attached is by the tendon. So some people get mixed up between tendon and ligaments. Our tendon attaches our muscle to the bone, and they have an insertion point and an origin. Alright, so our bicep comes from the shoulder and joins in down on our radius. So the other thing is the ligaments. When we're stretching, we don't want to stretch our ligaments because they're not designed to be made any longer. They're designed just for the length they are. And to stretch our ligaments can cause major issues. The ligament that most people know of, and we see it all the time in sporting accidents, is our cruciate ligaments. And they're the ligaments that join our bone together. So our cruciate ligaments join our femur to our tibius and fibula. So they come down joining those two leg bones together. So I also mentioned range of motion. Our range of motion is the distance that our joints can move until they can't move any further. So our range of motion for our shoulder would be the distance that our shoulder can move. So with stretching, we are trying to do a couple of things. One thing we're trying to do is maybe get a better range of motion. This can be useful for if we're doing a javelin or shot put, we need to try and get as much motion as we possibly can. It's also very useful for gymnasts who need to do things like splits and particular activities that need or require a greater range of motion. People like dancers also need a greater range of motion. So, when we're working on our muscles, we're working on our agonist and antagonist muscle. So we're trying to stretch two muscles. So by stretching our agonist muscle, we're going to use the fact that we have our agonist muscle being our bicep. Our antagonist muscle is our tricep. So if we're stretching by pulling tight there, we are stretching our antagonist muscle by compressing or contracting our agonist muscle. So just some terminology that we've got there. There are a number of different forms of stretches that we're going to talk about. The main stretches we use are basically passive stretches and active stretches. Active stretches include something that calls a ballistic stretch, which we're not going to demonstrate because it's not really good for you. Our static stretches include our normal passive static stretches, our assisted static stretches, and our isometric stretches, which we will demonstrate, but they're not used for most people. So we're going to go outside and demonstrate some of these stretches for you. Welcome again, OCS squadians. I don't know what to call you, squadians, squadridians, I'm not sure, but squad people. So I've been talking about different forms of stretching. Now we're going to demonstrate some of those stretches. The first one we're going to demonstrate is stretching that is active stretching, all right, as opposed to passive stretching or static stretching. So active stretching is when we're moving into our full range of motion, I've already talked about what range of motion is. We're moving into our full range of motion. So if we're doing active stretching on, just say, our shoulder, right? So all stretching happens on a joint. We're going to do an active stretch on our shoulder. We're moving into our full range of motion. So we're going to move into the full range, all right? So that's our active stretching, all right, moving into our full range. What we don't want to do is bounce through that full range, all right? So if we're going outwards, we move through the full range, all right? That's an active stretch. So if we're going to go from our feet upwards, our active stretch would be, our first active stretch would be lunges. So if I'm going to lunge, I'm going to lunge forward, all right? And I'm going to try and keep that back heel as close to the ground as I can, so I get a stretch right through the calf, got a stretch through my hamstring, and I'm going to get a stretch through my quadriceps. So I'm going to be walking, doing lunge walks all the way through. So what I'm going to be doing is a lunge out, keep your foot down, lunge out, keep your foot down, lunge out, try and keep your foot down. All right. So that is an active stretch. We've talked about that. We've done things like sumos. Again, a sumo is an active stretch. So if we're going to go down, basically we're going to do our squats. So if we're going to do a squat, all right, we're going down almost to our full range of motion for our knees and back up again. So for a sumo, when you go down, move across, go down again, move across, and then we're going to move along like that. So they are active stretches. We've just stretched our legs, right? Other sorts of active stretches. If I wanted to have someone or something here to balance off, all right, I could do an active stretch, which is again the kicking type stretch, but I don't want to do fast kicks that are going too high, all right? Because that's going to injure things, and I've already talked about our ligaments. We don't want to stretch your ligaments. So going too fast through these stretches can stretch your ligaments, and that will cause major damage, particularly later on. All right, so just going to swing it through. All right, swing it through, and the same with the other one. All right, so we've worked again on our hamstring for that stretch. We want to work on our muscles that are inside and outside of our leg. This muscle here, our adductor muscle, is pulling our leg inwards. And this one out here is called our abductor muscle, which is pulling our leg outwards. So to stretch them, we're going to go crosswards. All right? Thomas, can you come over here? I welcome my assistant just to do a bit of work here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use Thomas as a balance. Did I call you Thomas before?
No.
Oh, good. I'm going to use Thomas as a balance. All right? And all I'm going to be doing is going across my body. All right? And we're working, stretching these muscles, the inside muscle and the outside muscle. All right? And I do the same on the other leg. All right? Stretching it using something else other than a person probably wouldn't be bad, but thank you, Stuart. Thomas. Stuart's my other son, and I call him Stuart all the time, which is a bit sad, but that's Thomas, in case you're wondering. Most of you should know that. All right, so that's working on basically up to here, an active stretch for our body, our torso, all right, which would be do turns, all right, moving into your range of motion, but don't bounce through that range of motion. Right, so we're doing an active stretch through here. That's also stretching our shoulders. We've already done some shoulder stretches. All right, so an active shoulder stretch is that. An active shoulder stretch over the top would be this. All right, so they are our active stretches. These stretches should be used before you do a fast activity. So if I'm about to do some sprinting or go play a game of soccer or whatever, I would do some active stretching before I do that. The next things I'm going to talk about are passive or static stretching. And these are the ones you do to stretch your muscle after you've done activity, to try and relieve some of the built up waste materials, all right, the lactic acid that gets in the muscle. We're trying to get rid of some of that. So what we're going to do is slow, intense stretches. So what we're going to do, again, Thomas, do you want to come over here? I'm going to use Thomas, but you can use a wall. All right, so I'm going to stretch my calf. Again, we've done these stretches before. I'm I'm stretching my calf. Keep your heel down, keep your toe pointing forward, and we're going to hold it for about 20 seconds. Alright, if I want to stretch my quadricep, I'm going to hold that for about 20 seconds. So I stretch there. If I want to stretch my hamstring, basically I'm going to do something like this and hold it again for about 20 seconds. We're stretching our hamstring through there. These are all static stretches. In this case they're called assisted static stretches because what we're doing, we're using the ground to help. Alright, a static stretch on our shoulder would be just take it across there and hold it as much as we can for about 20 seconds. An assisted static stretch would be to take it across there and hold it for 20 seconds. So that's our static stretches and assisted static stretches. We've done them a number of times in the squad, and so you should know how to do them, but we've done them going right the way through. The next set of stretches that we're going to use are called isometric stretches, and I wouldn't advise doing them unless you're probably about 15 years or older. They can be great stretches. They help you stretch to going outside of your normal range of motion. So to do that, Tom's going to give me a bit of a hand. Alright, Thomas, turn and face me please. Alright, what I want is your leg up here, alright? So you can balance on my hand if you want. So, alright, I'm going to make your leg go to its full range of motion. Tell me when it's hurting. Is it hurting? Alright, when it's at a full range of motion, you're going to push down against me. Push down, no, push down your leg. That's it. So you're using your hamstring to push down. Alright, so what we've done, we've stretched our hamstring in that case. So we've made that as long as we can, and then me being assisting has taken it slightly further than its normal range of motion, and then against that we're going to push down using our hamstring, contract it as much as you can, and hold that for about 20 seconds. Alright, we can do this on most muscles. So Thomas, lie down for a second on the ground, put your leg up towards me. Other way, yep. Alright, so if I'm going to do it on the calf muscle, the gastrocnemius, I'm going to push back, alright? So relax, push back against it as much as I can. Alright, no, relax. Right, push back against it so that he gets a stretch in that calf muscle, and then he's going to push against me. And I'm going to try and hold it there. Alright, I'm going to do that again. Relax. Push. Alright, so what we're doing, we're trying to increase that range of motion. The last one we're going to do is an assisted stretch that's going to stretch your hamstrings and particularly your back. A great one for gymnasts and dancers, that it helps you get into things like splits, helps you get basically your head down towards your knees. So Thomas, can you turn around your back towards me please? Yep. Alright, can you go into a straddle position? Alright, I'm going to hold Thomas through the back here and here. So I'm going to support the whole back if I can. Alright, now we're going to push down to as much as we can. Alright, so we've pushed to more than his normal range of motion. Now he's going to push back against me. Keep pushing. Relax. Come back up. We're going to give about 10 to 20 seconds in between each. We're going to do 3 of them. I'm going to try and go that little bit further on each of them. Alright, so we're going to do one more, just for the occasion, just to show what's happening. So go down again. We've gone out a little bit further, which is excellent. Alright, push back. And relax. Excellent. So, what we've done is we've done static or passive stretching. We've done active stretching, which you'd use before you do an activity. Passive stretching you do after an activity, or if you just want to increase your range of motion. So static or passive stretching, we can also use isometric stretching for that. Alright, isometric stretching makes you work a lot harder, and it's great to do it with a partner, but it can be dangerous if your bones haven't all fused properly. So, from me and from Thomas, thank you very much.